after one of the earlier masses, someone said, that's my favorite gospel. And I said, well, that's because you're not a bishop, priest, or a deacon. For us, this gospel is unnerving. We sit in special chairs and wear special clothes. The great figures of the Jewish faith, our faith, and Jesus himself was very sensitive, all of them, to the ways religion goes bad. And when they saw that happen, they highlighted it in harsh terms. Why? Because it's so important. It's the ultimate of importance in this world. To see it go bad. It's one thing if the political system starts to unravel. It's one thing if a state falls. But it's another thing if religion or the church goes bad. The Romans had a saying, corruption of the best is the worst. Now, the prophets, Jesus, were not dismissing religion, the temple, priesthood, law, sacrifice. No, they loved religion, loved the temple, loved the law, loved sacrifice. But it's because they loved it that they spoke the way they did. When you love something, you're not unmoved by it. You're not disinterested. You're affected by it. You move into it because you love it. What went bad in this gospel and what can go bad in our life is when we don't live it. When we show up and we speak it, but we don't live it. When I was working at Villanova, campus ministry and teaching, we had this program for Eucharistic ministry for college students. They would come to several weeks of training, actually, and learn about it and then decide if they want to be Eucharistic minister. And almost all of them did. But one woman said at the end of the training, no, I'm not going to do that. I was very surprised. I said, why? She goes, well, to be honest, I have a lifestyle. And I realized that if I was a Eucharistic minister, my lifestyle wouldn't reflect what I did in church. So I can't do it. I was sad that she made that choice. But I realized how wise she was, how she kind of got it and brought it in. And so that one day, hopefully when she chooses it, it'll be a choice for her life. The problem in today's gospel was an unwillingness to love. An unwillingness to love. They wouldn't even lift a finger to lift a heavy burden off another. And the Greek word for finger, it means that when we lift a burden, it's not only our finger, but God's finger who acts and lifts it. So even the smallest act of charity and love and service for those who are burdened can have a significant effect because God's in the act. And they wouldn't even lift a finger for those who are burdened. Cardinal George was a cardinal in, I believe it was Chicago. And one time he went to a seminary, Mundelein Seminary in the Midwest, and spoke to the seminarians. And he praised them for being such a good Orthodox seminary in the stream of John Paul II. And he praised them for that. But he also said this to them: never just drop the truth on someone and just walk away. Walk with them. You see, that's getting it. Never drop truth on someone and walk away. Walk with them. Because that truth may be hard, because there's complexities and burdens in individual lives, and we need to walk with them, to support them and lift the finger to unload the burden or confusion or the struggles they're having. Because when we do that, then it happens. Truth can give life. Religion can be real and life-giving, and not just motions and words, but what it's intended when we walk with one another. The gospel gives us the answer on how to do this clearly. The greatest among you must be your servant. The greatest, all of us, must serve one another first before anything else. You know, I'm a deacon. Surprise. And I've been your deacon of this church for 14 years. Never spoke about it. But a deacon in the very early church, there was only bishops. They weren't priests yet, just bishops. And they created deacons as a ministry of the word, to preach, to baptize, but primarily to serve the orphan and the widow, the lowest strata, the marginalized. Now, when I was ordained, I got the imprint of Christ the servant. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a better servant than anybody else, but what it means is that my ministry, my life, is meant to be a sign of who Christ is and who you are called to be. I'm meant to be a visual aid for you of Christ, the one who said he did not deem equality with God something to be grasped, but emptied himself and took on the form of a slave. Christ who said, I have not come to be served, but to serve. To point to who Christ is and to point to who you are called to be. Servants of one another. So I'm to be your nudge, your reminder of who Christ is and who you are. In the Bible, when they use the word diakon, diakonia, in the Greek, it means something like, you know, when you close the office and you're last one out and the hallway's dim and there's nobody there, but some man or woman comes to wash the floor and scrub things when no one's there. That's it. That's what diakonia means. To serve in ways that are unknown and unnoticed, in humble ways, for the good of others. And when you do that enough, yourself and your ego finds its true place. You let it go because you begin to receive God's love in a way that sets you free to discover yourself in giving love to others. It's in doing that in some way in your life, enough, over and over, that you and I take on the character of Christ himself. Christ, the servant. And we become who we're meant to be, servants of one another. St. John the 23rd was a pope, And at one time, he was ordained a bishop. And in those days, it was years ago, before Vatican II, the bishops' vestments were really elaborate and big and colorful and expensive. So after he became a bishop, John the 23rd decided to write a meditation on the vestments he received, the vestments he wore as a bishop. And this is what he wrote. May the splendor of these garments always remind me of the splendor of the souls that I serve. You are the splendor of God. When we are reminded that those around us are the splendor of God, we serve them and treat them and love them in a new way. That's who you are. That's who I am. We're the splendor of God. And when we see that, we get it. And we become the servant of one another. Maybe one day we'll kind of get to the love and affection that Paul wrote in the second reading. Maybe one day. He says, brothers and sisters, we were gentle among you. Gentle. As a nursing mother cares for her children. Could you imagine loving another as a nursing mother cares for her children? With such affection for you that we were determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our very selves as well. Friends, may that love fill our hearts, fill our lives, fill our minds, change the way we see things, turn it upside down, that we can love as God so loves us.